flip it right back. Now you could flip the switch back and forth. Check this out. And it'll just do it. I mean, that's just me flipping a switch. Hello everyone, welcome back to Motion RC. I'm James, Alex behind the camera, and today we have that brand new Flywing 450L V2 GPS stabilized RC helicopter. And I gotta say, if you guys have been following me for a long time, you know helis are not my thing. I've tried to fly them, hasn't worked yet on the bigger scale. This is the largest heli that I've ever flown. A 450 size heli is about what seems to be the standard, you know, size, whether you go bigger or smaller, but 450 is about, you know, what most people go with. And I just flew about 7 or 8 flights on this thing, and it is fantastic. So what's so special about it? Well, the beauty is it has this H1 flight controller, and again, GPS stabilized, so your helicopter in essence flies like a drone or a multi-rotor. If you've ever flown a GPS stabilized drone, you know, forward, backward, up, down, it's a lot easier per se to fly that way for, you know, beginners. If you've flown like a DJI type product, you're gonna recognize how this feels in your hands. But what's great about it too, it has a lot of automatic features. So it has return to home. It has the ability to fly figure eights or orbit mode on its own. It'll flip inverted, which is amazing. It'll flip inverted, and then there's 2 modes in the software that you can change, where easy mode, when it's inverted, will maintain up being up, down being down, left being left, right being right. Whereas if you're flying a regular 3D helicopter, when you flip upside down, then down is up, and up is a lot of money, you know, expensive. So I have it in the easy mode, and when you take it out of the box, you don't have to do much at all. As far as setup, when it comes out of the box, you can see some of the B-roll over the top. You're gonna see it comes basically, the only things that you have to put on are your blades, and you always wanna set them, tighten them to the point where they're kinda loose, but still a little tight when you move them. They should be able to stop in place, but also be able to move freely. You'll see the tail boom comes automatic, you know, comes all set up with the GPS unit on there. And what you're gonna love, it has a quick connect. So you're able to plug in your tail boom, plug the GPS into the flight controller, and you are basically good to go from there. Then you just have to slide your battery on and your canopy. Now the other things you're gonna need to do, the quick start menu doesn't really say it in the best way, but you're gonna wanna do 2 calibrations. You wanna calibrate your sticks. That's an easy thing. We'll show you in a separate video from this one. And you wanna do the whole GPS dance. Anyone who's ever done a GPS multi-rotor will know you gotta hold it, spin it in a bunch of different directions to calibrate the compass. And you wanna do that where you're gonna fly. So in the video, I do it in the studio, but I did it again right before I got here. When I got here today, I walked it right out to this spot. I brought my laptop, plugged it in, took about 2 minutes to do the GPS dance. You'll see some of that here. And then we were ready to go. Just you wanna make sure the GPS knows where you are. But once that's done, then it's just a matter of flying with this awesome, again, it's ready to fly, so the transmitter comes with it. I'm gonna show you how we set it up from the go right now. So first things first, you're gonna take your boom. You will notice inside the quick connect is in this compartment. All right, so we're gonna plug it in. Tail boom, it's a quick connect assembly, so you just meet it inside. It only real fits one way, and then press it in. Then you're gonna plug your GPS. Couldn't be simpler. GPS is right on the outside. Once that's plugged in, now your connections are met. Now you're gonna see this little thumb screw. You're just gonna keep tightening this to the point where you just can't move it. You don't wanna over tighten. You could definitely, you know, you'd snap it if you go too hard, but I get to the point where I can't push it anymore, and that seems to be perfect, and it's not going anywhere. So once that's done, now you're gonna mount your battery. This is the included battery. Again, this is a 4S powered helicopter. I was using Admiral 4S 2200s, but I wanna use the one battery that comes with it. So it already has Velcro on the bottom of the battery and Velcro on the fuse here. So there we go, that's in. Now you want to come over to your transmitter. And now the way the transmitter works, push both buttons. That'll turn it on. Oh, and I don't have the switches all up, so you have to have all the switches up. So it lets you know. And there's a lot of information. You could go in and you could change pitch and everything. I've done none of that. I'm just flying it again as it was set up in the factory out of the box, which is gonna be great for everyone getting into it, then go back and play afterwards. Like I definitely wanna come out and play with some things after flying it, but I wanna show you guys my first impressions of it and how it is out of the box. So once that's plugged in, we're good here. Now we're gonna plug in our helicopter, and I'm gonna line it up because when you plug in, that's gonna set, wherever it is, that sets the home. So if I have it plugged in this orientation, there is a return to home switch, and you'll see when we do it, it'll orientate and land exactly. It won't always land on the black, but you know, it lands in the general area, but in the same direction that you plugged it in. So I'm gonna plug it in now. And now you'll see on the top, you get some flashing red lights. Now you want to go into GPS mode. It'll be in purple mode when it's in home mode, which it is now because this switch is up. Now if you're on the light here, if you can see that, Alex, I'm going to switch to GPS, and you're going to see right now it's acquiring GPS satellites in a flashing green light, and you're going to have to wait about a minute to 2 minutes till that light goes solid, and then that means you have full GPS satellites. So I wait for that. And we're gonna be waiting. But actually, I'll talk to you while I'm waiting for that to flash. This switch is very important. This is your stop and your run. If this is up, the motor can never arm. It keeps the motor off. If you were in a sticky situation, think you're gonna hit someone or hit a tree, you would stop. You could stop the motor by flipping this switch up, and it'll just fall out of the sky. So that's like your safety last minute. This is your few of your flight modes. So normal mode is just you being able to fly however you want. Then this is an orbit mode and a figure 8. So you see 8 fly and 0 fly. Then we have your home button. So right now I'm in GPS, which is the middle. 3D would be full acrobatic heli flying. So that's the only mode I'm not gonna be able to show you today. I'm definitely afraid of going into that mode. I'm not ready for that. So I'm keeping it in GPS. And then when you flip the home switch, it'll automatically return to home. And what it does is it raises up to about 15 meters, and then it flies back and then lowers itself down. Now this doesn't have obstacle avoidance. So if you plug this in and you plug it in under a canopy and then walk it out to the field fly, and you hit return to home and not remember, it's gonna hit the top of the roof. Like it doesn't know what's around it. And then you have this last switch on the right is your normal and inverted. So when I flip that, and now the cool feature about this, when you're in easy mode, it will only invert at a certain height, about 15 meters high. If you try to flip that switch and you're low, it won't do it at all. And I'll show you that when we get in the air. But right now I got my GPS satellite, so I'm just gonna finish it off by putting the canopy on. Now that we know we got satellites ready to go, and this is just these 2 little rubber stoppers like any other heli, and we are good to go. So now let's back away from her.
And we're gonna come.
All right, so we're a safe distance from the heli, and now it's a simple process to arm it and get it going. So the first thing you're gonna do, you wanna go down and to the left. You hold that for about 5 seconds, and the green light on the top of the controller will actually start flashing. And then once you hold it for 5 seconds, you flick to run, and you're gonna see it spool up. Now that you're in run mode, you never wanna turn that back to stop, or it's gonna stop the motor. You can do it now on the ground, it'll be fine if you land, but won't do it. So now let the head speed get up to speed. When you hear it not increasing anymore, now we're just gonna increase the throttle. So I'm gonna bring the throttle up a bit and see how she just lifts off. And now you can see I am looking at the heli, but I'm hands-free. That is GPS stabilized right there. So if I want to, I can immediately start pirouetting. And this is what I was doing on my first heli flight, was just right into the pirouette. Now I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna take it up. Now I'm gonna leave it right here. If I flip the inverted switch, nothing happens. because I'm not 15 meters off the ground. So I'm gonna raise it up. Actually, I'm gonna back it up so you're not in the sun, Alex. So there we go, I'm in front of Alex more. Now I'm gonna raise it up to about here, should be a good distance. Flip the inverted switch, and check that out. And now, as we said, we're in that easy inverted mode. Down is still down, and up is still up. I can pirouette. I can, you know, forward, backwards. It's flying as if it was right side up. So you can just, so immediately, within seconds of having it in the air, you could impress everybody by showing them that you're flying an inverted 450 size heli. But remember, just because it's GPS stabilized does not mean it won't crash into things. So you've got to be, you can lose orientation. I almost did it in the trees. We're actually at the CCRC field, but we're on the heli side. And this is the first time I've ever been here, so I'm not used to the area opposite my regular runways behind me here. So now I'm gonna take it up, I'm gonna flip back to normal. So that was just, so it auto does it. Now the other features we have, so I'm gonna do, let's do orbit mode. So that's the second from the left switch. I'm gonna switch to the middle. And now, whatever position you started in, it picks that position as the center, and it's gonna circle it nose in. And it'll just do that. So it would continue orbiting. Then if I flip to figure 8, actually I'll go back to normal. So now that's normal mode, so it just stops in place. Now I'll switch to figure 8, and that should be the center point of the figure 8. So it'll do a circle one direction, then when it gets back to that initial waypoint, if you will, it'll then turn left and figure 8 in the other direction. There it is, the transition. All right, so that's the figure 8. Now I'm gonna go back to normal mode. Now what I wanna do, Alex, I'm gonna take it way back over there, just over the hill, and then I'm gonna hit the return to home so people can see how that works, how it'll rise on its own. So I'm gonna take it way in the back here, and I'm gonna lower it way below what I think would be a normal direction. Say you're out of sorts, you don't know where to go, you wanna flip the home switch. So that's the same switch that has GPS in 3D, and watch, it's gonna rise up itself, and then it'll orientate, and it's gonna come all the way back right over that spot where we initially plugged it in, because that's where home would be, wherever you plug in. Now it's getting over that spot, and then it's gonna orientate itself in the same direction that you had it on the ground. So you see, that's the same way that I had it plugged in, and now it's bringing itself home. I'm not touching a thing. I'm just holding the transmitter to make sure, you know, in case something goes wrong, I can at least flip that stop switch. But check that out. Bring it down. Oh, is it gonna hit the black? Nice. And then it'll automatically shut the motor off in that position. So now if I want to take off again, I go up into stop mode, arm it down and to the left, hold for about 5 seconds, 2, 1, hit run again. I guess it doesn't do that when it lands from auto home. Oh wait, no, I'm not, because I was in home mode. Ah, good learning lesson. Switch this back to GPS mode, because if the switch is still in home, then it wants to stay home. Now I'm gonna arm it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Run, and there it is. Then it'll spool back up. So see, you're learning things on the fly, on the video. So I'm gonna wait for it to get its head speed, and then we'll take it around. I'll show you some speed passes and such.
Show them your 3D skills.
Show them my 3D skills. No, I am not flipping to 3D mode. But let's show you the overall speed of it. So I'll bring it down there. Now I don't want to get too crazy with it, just because, no, but it's pretty quick. And I could play, I'm sure I could play with the pitch and everything. and really get it moving even faster at different angles, because there's a whole software GUI that you can really, you know, interface with and mess around with, and also there's a lot of that stuff in the transmitter as well. But it is super cool. I mean, just the fact that you could fly it, and what's even great too, the H1 flight controller will sell 2 versions, one with a long wire, one with a short wire. Those descriptions will be in the link below, so you can put them on any heli, and you know, and get the functionality, the H1 controller. Like, I immediately am thinking about the rotor scale 450 helis that we have. We have, you know, 6 of them that are scale. Like, this flies in the regular GPS mode as a scale heli should. You should be able to just do soft, controlled movements, and it would look really, I mean, how much cooler would it look if it was a UE body sitting there? And that's what's awesome, just overall about it. I'm gonna take it up, I'm gonna invert, flip it right back. Now, you could flip the switch back and forth. Check this out. And it'll just do it. I mean, that's just me flipping a switch. And then I noticed too, which I don't know if you should do, but I could pirouette and flip the switch and continue in the pirouette. Like, I'm just holding basically rudder left, and it'll just continue doing it. So and that's
it looks like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, almost like I'm doing it on purpose. Like, I wish it had a TikTok button where it would TikTok itself. Not the social media application, but an actual heli TikTok. If you ever seen those maneuvers, or a hurricane or something, they should have a hurricane button. That would be cool. But you could cut the grass if you wanted to. Like, I could bring it as low as possible. There's no detection avoidance, so, you know, be careful with it. But right now, it just flies like a normal heli. Just inverted. But I would mind your battery life, because if you are inverted and you're too low, she won't flip back over when she needs to. But there is a low voltage setting also, like I have it at 3.5 volts, and it'll automatically return to home regardless of what you're doing. When it hits 3.5, it basically takes it over for you, and the only way for you to get out of that mode would be to switch back to home and then back to GPS, and it'll give you access again if you want to try to land it yourself. But the return to home function is pretty sweet as is. Like, we could do it right in front of Alex, because I think we've about showed you everything except 3D mode. If you want to see 3D mode, I would suggest typing in Flywing 450 into YouTube. There are some other guys out there who have flown it in 3D, and you can really see, I mean, it's a powerful motor. Obviously, it can fly inverted. You're going to be able to do a lot of things with this helicopter that I'm just not ready for at this point to be able to show you fairly. But I love it as this. I would fly it like this on my own. All right, I'm switching back to home. So it's going to raise back up. It gets to that safe height. And then it's going to land on its own. Again, I'm just holding the controller. I love it. I'm like a heli. This type of stuff makes me a heli fan. Like, you know, if you're a beginner, you just want to fly a heli, this is the way to go. But I'm already thinking about that. If you've been watching our studio, you see that I have a 450 UE from rotor scale sitting there, and that H1 controller is calling my name. I think I'm eventually gonna pull it out off of this and stick it on there and, you know, see how she goes. But overall, guys, I think we could almost wrap up the video right here. This heli is available now. Check the links in the description. We have links to the flight controller. Again, there's two different options, just one with a longer wire, one with a shorter GPS wire, and that's just on your boom length and where you might mount it. But overall, if you're looking for something different, something fun, that you can grow with, then the Flywing 450L V2 is gonna be for you. I've flown 8 heli flights, and I think I have 8 heli flights in
I
total
was
in
about
my
to say
lifetime.
that's 7 more than you've ever had before.
That's 7 more heli flights than I've ever had before. And it's thanks to this awesome, awesome machine. So guys, again, thank you for joining us here at Motion RC. Hit the like button if you like, hit the subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you next time at Motion RC.